Welcome to the Sharkpreneur podcast with Kevin Harrington and Seth Greene. Kevin Harrington is the inventor of the infomercial, one of the original sharks from the hit TV show Shark Tank, and has generated over $5 billion in TV and digital direct response sales. Seth Greene is the world's first trusted authority on cutting-edge direct response marketing, a best-selling author, and the only 3-time Marketer of the Year nominee. On the podcast, Kevin and Seth interview sharkpreneurs who share straight talk on what it takes to explode your business.
Why do so many businesses struggle while others seem to explode overnight? Do you wish you had the secret to this type of exponential growth? Now, I've scaled more than 20 businesses to over $100 million, and it's not just luck. In my new book with Mark Tim, Mentor to Millions, you'll learn the repeatable framework I use in all my business ventures for massive success. Order at kevinmentor.com and get over $1,000 in bonuses. Head to kevinmentor.com.
Welcome to the podcast. This is Seth Greene. Today I have the good fortune to be joined by Jonathan Rosenfeld from RosenfeldInjuryLawyers.com. Jonathan, thanks so much for joining us.
No problem. Pleasure to be here.
Let's go. A quick legal disclaimer. Jonathan is not giving any legal advice on this podcast. He is in the state of Illinois. If you are not in the state of Illinois, please seek appropriate counsel where you are. Special shout out to the person who connected us in Robert Lehman. All right. So Jonathan, let's go back in time a little bit. How did you get started? Why did you go to law school in the first place?
Great question. I have a very boring answer. My parents told me I should go to law school. And in the absence of anything really better to do, I decided I would follow up on their suggestion. So went to law school to Chicago Kent College of Law, graduated from Kent, really did not enjoy law school very much, but here I am today, but thank God law school is not really, it's not really the same as practicing law. So there's quite a bit of difference. So anyway, that's where I am.
Understood. All right. And then how did you arrive at the area of specialization you're in now?
Again, this was sort of a little bit of luck, frankly. I wound up clerking for a personal injury law firm while I was in law school, very first job. And I realized very quickly that it was something I enjoyed doing. I love the fact that you can actually help people with real problems. And I love the fact that there was a lot of entrepreneurial aspects that, if you were willing to work hard and hustle, there was tremendous opportunity. So those were things that just really resonated with me.
That makes sense. And I am sure that different people have different perceptions of what you do. In your words, how would you describe what you do?
Well, I think that probably the biggest misconception is that, all lawyers are just a pile of, especially personal injury, or just ambulance chasers, and they're out to make a quick buck, and, they can basically squeeze money out of a turnip, which really couldn't be further from the case. The truth is that the days of getting money for a client who doesn't have a substantial or very legitimate injury are really very much in the past. My clients today are injured in some type of accident. Typically, it's a more significant accident where they've got a broken bone. They may have had a surgery or something like that, which may derive from an auto accident, may derive from a work-related accident. But my job really is to get them, the one and only thing I can do for them is get them financial compensation for their injuries. I can't undo what's been done, but I can hopefully provide them with some compensation so they can, really lead a better life and take care of their families.
That makes sense. What are some of the biggest mistakes people make when it comes to finding a personal injury attorney and dealing with their injury and the lawsuit?
Probably the first mistake people make is, sometimes they're hesitant to get a lawyer involved. A lot of times people are like, oh, this doesn't seem that complicated. A lot of times insurance adjusters will reach out to someone after an accident, make them feel like they're they're going to get taken care of. And at the end of the day, that really doesn't happen. And people sometimes contact me months after an accident or something. And there's things that I can do, but there's a lot of things that if they were done immediately after an incident, it would be a lot easier. So that's the number one thing. Number two thing, people think, again, this has been proven time and time again, is that the cost, it's too expensive to hire a lawyer. The lawyer is basically going to take all my money and I'm going to be left with nothing, and I'm better doing it on my own. The truth is that a lot of studies have shown that people who get an attorney get substantially more money for their injuries than people who do it on their own. I think there was a study out by some insurance institute which showed people got, after attorney's fees, about 3.5 times as much money when they hire a lawyer. So those are two things that sort of I see time and time again. And I would just urge people, it doesn't have to be me, but if you're involved in an accident, get your own representation. Don't try to go it on your own, and don't ever assume that the insurance company is really looking out for your best interest.
You've had some great results for clients over the years. What are some of the verdicts you're most proud of?
We've been very fortunate in that we've helped a lot of people, and really we've gotten pretty significant recoveries for people. I think probably the biggest, success story, if you would be actually one of my first cases. This was probably 10, 12 years ago. First, larger case where I represented a disabled man who was blind. He had some other issues, and he got hit by a garbage truck, and he actually wound up with really significant injuries. The garbage truck was making a right turn. He was in the crosswalk, and it basically ran over his legs. Horrible injuries. Degloving, multiple surgeries, inpatient, up and down, you name it. We recovered about $10 million for this man. And, the number itself, is impressive, but when you actually see how this person's life, really the quality of his life, really enabled him to live independently still. This is someone who really was sort of on the fringe of society before this happened. And I'm not saying that, he's living in the lap of luxury by any means, but this settlement for him, it enabled him to still live independently. Whereas if, he did not get this kind of recovery, he would likely be institutionalized and really be reliant on the system to take care of him, and he really wouldn't have any quality of life. So this is a person who really didn't have very much in the first place. But when you have someone like that, and you take away, the most basic, life quality of life, just walking down the street, that's a real significant thing. So, we've had other cases where, people have been abused, unfortunately, by clergy and things like that. And, that we've gotten them compensation so they can get the counseling they need and really help work on themselves and their families. So, these are all things. And, I'm very proud of that.
Absolutely. You should be. You've achieved so much success over the years. Talk about the team that you've grown.
Well, I'm very fortunate. One of the things that I do is I basically have two different teams, if you will. I have the team of people that I work on the cases with, lawyers, support staff. These are people that for the most part I've been working with for really the better part of 10 plus years. These are people who, honestly, I can call them, email them, text them pretty much any time, day or night. And they're going to pick up the phone and they're going to do what they need to do. If it needs to be done right away, they're going to take care of it. They're sort of self-starters. And that's something that, for me, I'm not a huge, I really don't like to micromanage people. And so I tend to work with people who are sort of self-starters and can really take things on their own. And, of course, there's situations where we need to collaborate on things, and we do. But for the most part, that's a big quality that I look for in hiring people. And that's something that we've done. So that's one team. And then I've got another sort of group of people who work on the business development side of things. And again, those people, again, very similar skill set. We work back and forth all day, but I can give them a task and they can go sort of take it and run with it. I don't need to sit over them and hold their hand. So, I'm just not really, I want to give people freedom to do their job and do their work. And I find that, frankly, I work better when I've got the time to work on my own and I'm not, being torn 55 different directions. So I try to give those people the same respect and opportunity.
I agree 100%. With all the success you've achieved for your clients, as a business owner, what's your biggest challenge now?
Well, there's a couple things. One is obviously it's just the competition it keeps getting more intense all the time. Clients out there, they've become very sophisticated, frankly, and that can be a good thing and a bad thing. The good thing is that by the time someone picks up the phone to contact me, they know quite a bit about their case a lot of times. 5-10 years ago, people would honestly, they wouldn't know, they really weren't doing the research. Today, people, by the time they contact me, they're pretty knowledgeable about the topic. So that's really one thing. But there's a lot more competition out there today than there was, years ago. So that's one thing. And then, just to sort of keep quality control over things. It's great to grow and I always want to grow, but I don't want to grow to the detriment of, providing really quality legal representation. You're only as good as your the quality of representation on the last case. And I never want someone to say, hey, you know what? He was in a rush. He didn't have the time to do this or that for me. So I'm always conscientious about that.
Now, your passion is obvious. What do you like best about what you're doing?
There's a lot of things. One of probably the thing that I love most about it is that I get to, really deal with real people. A lot of lawyers sit at a desk all day. They may work for a large company or corporation or something like that. And they sit at their desk and they basically bill out their time all day in 6-minute increments a lot of times. And to me, that's just basically a hamster wheel. You're just going and you're going and you're going. There's no real appeal to me at all. The people that I deal with, they come from all walks of life, you name it, I've seen it, different races, different religious backgrounds, economic, status or whatever. I've dealt with all of them. But the thing that sort of brings them all together is they're all sort of in a situation where it's probably one of the most difficult times in their life. And I get to sort of take them from the time after an accident through resolution, either by trial or settlement or mediation. And, typically, obviously I can't undo what's been done. And a lot of these people, they do have a tremendous amount of heartache and really, they've really lost the quality of their life, but I've really brought them through a very, very difficult situation to hopefully a little bit of a better place. And I've gotten them at the very least, some resolution of things.
Absolutely. For our folks who are watching and listening, where is the best place for them to find you?
Look me up online, rosenfeldinjurylawyers.com. You can check out my YouTube channel, Rosenfeld Injury Lawyers. And you can also, we've got some podcasts. You can check out the personal injury podcast, but feel free to reach out.
All right. Well, we greatly appreciate your time. This has been Seth Greene Seth Greene with Jonathan Rosenfeld of Rosenfeld Injury Lawyers. Jonathan, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thanks, everybody. Go check out RosenfeldInjuryLawyers.com.
Do you need money to fund your idea, product, or service? Are you ready to take your business to the next level but need capital to get it done? Kevin Harrington has heard more than 50,000 pitches and knows how to help you make the perfect pitch to get the funding for your entrepreneurial dream. He's distilled the process down in his perfect pitch cheat sheet, and it's yours for free. Just text PITCH to him right now at 727-888-2100. Text PITCH to 727-888-2100 right now and claim your free perfect pitch cheat sheet. Text PITCH to 727-888-2100 to start funding your dream today.
This show has been produced by Market Domination, LLC. To discover how you can have your own show completely done for you and turn it into a real published book and become the authority in your marketplace, go to www.marketdominationllc.com/podcast offer.